Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io. Welcome to This Month in German Startups by Startuprad.io in a transatlantic news recording with Chris from New York. Hey Chris, how you doing?
I am still doing great, and I'm wearing a hoodie, so I'm very startup and ready to roll.
Today we are wrapping up the summer 2020 for you. This is going to take a bit longer than normal, so grab a coffee and relax on the couch. Every time you hear something that sparks your interest, we have links in our show notes where you can get more information. Remember to like and subscribe here on YouTube or wherever you're listening to the audio podcast. You can join us on the Entrepreneurship Network DACH. With €5 a month, you can support our work there. Thank you. One word about our enabler. This recording was made possible by Hessen Trade Invest. Learn more about our enabler here at invest-in-hessen.com. Link, of course, in the show notes. Chris, we do have some important news about housekeeping, right?
Yeah, I get to do the bragging part today. So we now made it into 39 countries in the podcast charts, apparently. So people in Switzerland, Israel, Indonesia, and Zimbabwe are more than welcome that they are listening here. Thank you very much. And also, as a premier source of for startup information from Germany, Startup Radio was now a part of the US launch of podcasts on Amazon Music and is available there in Germany as well. So even more ways. You can't really escape us, basically. Enough with the bragging. What was the most important topic for all of us the last couple of months?
Yeah, let's get to the top news. Top news, coronavirus and CureVac. CureVac was one of the biggest startup stories during the summer. They are a Tübingen, Germany-based biotech company working on a coronavirus vaccine. They IPO'd for more than $200 million. They got visited by Elon Musk, and we already blogged about the government investment in June. And pre-IPO, they received two investments by two international heavyweights, the Qatar Investment Authority, which is a sovereign wealth fund based in the small but rich Middle Eastern country of Qatar, and GlaxoSmithKline, which paid $142 million for 10% stake in the company. There is a potential super spreader event in the German startup scene. Deutsche Startups reports in the podcast that a super spreader event took place in Berlin, in the Berlin venture capital and startup scene on Friday, September 11th. We will keep you updated on what was going on there. Chris, Wirecard, you're your favorite, right?
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's probably the biggest story in Germany right now in terms of companies, especially in terms of new companies. Because again, as a reminder, Wirecard had made it even into the DAX, so like the German Dow Jones equivalent, and being a company that offered payment solutions, you could say. But then it turned out that there was a lot of stuff in their balance sheets that did not actually exist. So that was basically where we're at. But now we're looking up a couple of new developments there. So for example, Wirecard's liquidator had sent employees into garden leave without pay via email after 8 o'clock in the evening. So rumors talk about 50% of the more than 1,000 employees are being let go. We have a couple of articles and links there if you want to know more. Then Wirecard liabilities are exceeding the assets that the companies is having by 2.8 billion euro. Only a few of the companies within the group had revenues at all, says an expert assessment obtained by German media. Again, please find the link in the show notes there. The Berlin-based FinLeap snapped up some employees of Wirecard. FinLeap starts new unite FinLeap Forward, the new unit, FinLeap Forward, with former Wirecard employees to help banks, insurers, and small and medium-sized SMEs with their digital transformation. They hired a team of 6 employees of the Wirecard Innovation Labs to help banks and insurance companies. So we also have Berlin-based data startup SO1, which was bought shortly before the accounting scandal by Wirecard, and now their founders have bought assets back. But we also learned that more than 100 potential bidders lined up to acquire parts of Wirecard. So there's also some development there. Basically, the main discussion is still whether the German Finance Supervisory Committee, BaFin, has made mistakes, or whether probably Ernst & Young, EY, wasn't really paying attention in their oversight. But BaFin also now reported that they are suspecting insider trading before denial of attestation to a Munich prosecutor. And there's also personal news involved there, for example, about Markus Braun, the former CEO of Wirecard. In September, a German court froze his private assets. In total, it was supposedly more than 100 million euros worth of assets from 4 people and 3 shareholders that the courts are blocking. So it's still a very complicated situation, still in development. It is probably one of the biggest company-related scandals, definitely startup-related scandals in Germany in the past couple of years. But we also have better news.
Yes, we do. We have better news. Auto1, the Berlin-based unicorn, plans its IPO, but new details on the planned IPO of Berlin-based Auto1 emerged. They hired Citi, meaning Citibank, and Goldman, meaning Goldman Sachs, for the IPO, looking at the valuation of 5 billion euros. They are also looking to IPO in Frankfurt. When they're good news, they're bad news. Germany's formerly most valuable fintech has to file for insolvency. Monedo Holding, formerly Credit-Tech, and at the time Germany's most valuable fintech, has been in trouble for some time now, but they had to file for insolvency proceedings at the beginning of September. Chris, you know a lot about the ecosystem, right?
I definitely do. So yeah, apart from those top stories, if we take a more of a bigger picture look about what's going on in German startup world, we see that there will be a delay in insolvency filings due to recent changes in German law. This will lead to a much later realization of insolvency. It also has to do with COVID. We may start to see the first impact only in the first quarter of 2021. Until then, you can learn more about the changes on our own website. It is basically due to some rules that the German government came up in order to support companies during the pandemic. Then Germany was named the best European countries for startups in the second year running by The Local. 5 reasons why Germany is the best country for startups came up in the Next Web. They are saying Germany has a network of digital hubs. They are saying they are great in collaboration. There's good access to industry leaders. Germany is leading in deep tech solutions, and there is a lot of government support. And if we're moving on from the ecosystem to the different hubs, let's take a closer look at some of the cities where the action is happening.
Talking about hubs. Note, the order of news and cities is only due to the time when we discovered the news rather than anything else. Talking about Frankfurt. Chris is smiling in my ear here. I can hear you. Frankfurt, Startup Genome, Global Startup Ecosystem Report. Top 7 cities keep their ranking in 2020, but new players are on the rise. You could find the links here. Some highlights: Frankfurt makes top 20 knowledge and top 30 in funding. Berlin making number 16 overall. The Swiss cities of Bern and Geneva are also doing well as the German city of Munich. Different news. Deutsche Bank buys stake in Frankfurt-based supply chain finance and fintech TraxPay. No further deal details like the price have been disclosed. The German business magazine Capital tested 34 robo-advisors. Out of those, 3 Frankfurt-based made it in the top group, all offspring of traditional asset managers or private banks like Visualvest, Seedin, and Bivester. Interesting names. The Business Insider ranking, top 100 fastest growing companies in Germany. From the Frankfurt area, we have Störtebeker Shaving Accessories. Störtebeker was a legendary buccaneer from Germany in the North Sea, I do believe, Chris? Yeah, Chris is nodding. You cannot see or hear him, but Chris is nodding. Champ Square, We Win, and MeshCloud. And of course, we do have several interviews with Christina, one of the founders of MeshCloud, on our website. Find the link below here. Then there's additional good news. Frankfurt's fintech Agora Innovation with its IV1 platform has brought Stock Corporation to the blockchain for the first time in the European Economic Area. Related to that, we also have an interview on the upcoming law for the tokenization of securities, which is expected to take effect Q1 2021, most likely January. You will have the link in the show notes here. It's with one of the professors. He's a specialist working on this law as well. Then there's the last news from Frankfurt. Brockhaus Capital Management, IPOs in Frankfurt and Prime Standard. They raised 115 million euros to invest in mid-sized tech companies. Another city from the Rhine-Main area, Darmstadt. Boston Dynamics, Merck, and the Darmstadt-based robotics software company Energy Robotics cooperate successfully on an autonomous inspection robot is the press news. And of course, you can learn more about the startup Energy Robotics on our interview. Then there is the city of Stuttgart, where Chris has been living, so I hand over to him.
Yes, those were the days before moving to New York. So Stuttgart, of course, famous for cars. Also now has a company that tries to make a dent in another mobility type of mobility. There is the startup RoadJet. RoadJet offers luxury long-distance bus connections, and they now made their splash by saying that their luxury bus connections would cost the price of a second-class ticket of Deutsche Bahn, Germany's rail operator. Going to the northwest of Stuttgart, there's Bonn, the former capital, where Goldman Sachs invests the majority of new 70.5 million euros venture capital in the Bonn-based IT startup Linux, a company that provides cloud-based solutions for Bosch, Volkswagen, consultancies, and others. Also related to this, Goldman Sachs inside partners DTCP, Capnemic Ventures, and Iris Capital are other investors there. Their total now is at 120 million US dollars. Munich, back to the southeast of Bonn and to the east of Stuttgart. There's Munich-based, the number 2, TRDE, To Trade, I guess, a competitor of Berlin's Auto One. They raised a small number of 2.5 million euros with the Israel-based VC Manif Mobility as lead investor. Back to Baden-Württemberg, Bruchsal, a city with a population of less than 45,000 people now, is in German headlines because there is the headquarters of the startup Volocopter, which now started accepting reservations for electric air taxi flights. A topic that curiously was put on the backbench to Corona in a way. I always thought, like, oh my God, how is Corona going to affect the air taxis? going to the bigger companies, to the bigger cities. Hamburg-based Paket Butler, a rental box working as a mailbox for parcels, is shut down. Service will stop operations at the end of September. And back to Trier, also a small city, and which appears here for the first time. So let us give you a brief overview. It's a very old city founded by the Romans, and it's famous for their still standing black city gate, called, the Latin-speaking population of our listeners will know, the Porta Nigra, which means black gate. It is a city of approximately 115,000 people, close to the border of Luxembourg. And there, two local banks invested 3.5 million euros in LiveEye, a local startup providing video surveillance. And last city, Mannheim, also Baden-Württemberg, bit north of Stuttgart. Their hub, I guess you could say, or startup culture ecosystem called Startup Mannheim organization. There you go. Organization was rebranded to Next Mannheim, and we have been invited. So Jörn, not me, I'm sitting in New York. Don't get invited to Mannheim. You will hear more about them in the future. Up until then, you can learn more about them at next-mannheim.de and then /en if you want to read the English language information. That's it with the cities. Moving on to even more news about companies.
Companies sounds like my turn again. We interviewed Berlin-based challenger bank Bitwala in April. Now they are offering 2% interest rate on savings accounts when other banks are asking for money to hold savings, is the press release. And of course, below that, you can find our interview. Deutsche Bank, mentioning number 2. Deutsche Bank gets double hit in digital strategy. Number 1, they shut down their investment, the virtual wallet startup Unar. Same problem as with Chris. The normal startup names are out. I just remember to trade to whatever. Zeitgold, the accounting software, pivots. Related to the article, Zeitgold's main product was shut down despite having raised 27 million euro venture capital. For outsiders, a surprise, but there is an article speaking about absolute chaos before the decision. Frankfurt-listed tech company TeamViewer buys Bremen-based data classes startup UbiMax for 136 million euros, of which 86 are in cash. Let's talk bonds. Delivery Hero wants to raise 1.5 billion euros with a convertible note, and Zalando sells bonds worth 1 billion euro. Strange names. Hedo Sofia from London has been one of the most important investors in the German fintech scene. Now, Finance Forward revealed Michael Bloomberg being one of the investors behind the investment company. Berlin-based travel tech Omio raises 84 million euros. Investors include Temasek, Kinnevik, Goldman Sachs, and Kleiner Perkins. Henkel buys 75% of beauty product brand Hello Body. Henkel produces many household names in Germany, from washing powder Persil to Glue, Patex Prit, to detergents Pril, Biff, and even wallpaper paste. Metulan. I see the thing with the name is not only a problem of startups. Finance Forward takes a look into Genevic's report and looks at the impact of the fintech valuation using discounted cash flow. If you want to know more about it, go down here in the show notes. Deposit Solution is valued at 450 million euros, and Deutsche Bank invested in September for 1 billion euros, and Betterment valued at 666 million euros, which would be a drop of 100 million euros. Last but not least, news for me, Siemens to cooperate with Berlin-based fintech Raisin on pensions. Find the interview with the founder of Raisin, of course, exclusively by us here. Whew, you have heard enough from me, and now let's hand over to Chris to do the rest of the company news.
Sure. Another laundry list of companies, for example, a Berlin-based Sequoia investment. The travel tech startup Tourlane is in trouble, but its founder is optimistic. He says that 80% of his clients are booking long-distance trips. They're back to 20 to 30% of pre-corona business, they are saying. Then there's Freeletics, which raised 25 million euros in venture capital to extend its offering to Japan, North and South America. The press speculates that there is additional sports like yoga or running for the app, which basically offers individualized coaching for athletes. Delivery Hero picks up Glovo's Latin American operations for $272 million in the latest food delivery consolidation. More about that on TechCrunch. And we have the Berlin-based startup Sender, which is Sen with a double N, which has bought a chunk of Uber. A quote there is Berlin-based startup Sender has acquired Uber's European freight business in an all-stock transaction that will see the freight forwarder extend its dominance in the European market. As part of the transaction, Sender will become a minority shareholder in Uber, and the companies have agreed to a customer referral program where Sender will refer US freight customers to Uber and vice versa. Rocket Internet published its half-year report. 9 startups were shut down. 5 new ones came up. Startup equity valuation took a 85 million hit. And Rocket Internet Capital Partners VC fund spent only 15% of its money so far. Closed end of 2019. They gave out loans worth 70 million with an average 9.3% interest rate. We have Check24, Germany's largest online comparison platform. They are planning to attack startups in their market, tax filing and compensation for delayed flights. Jacob Fatih is an interesting guy whose story we stumbled upon. He was a refugee coming from Tehran. Then he founded the fitness chain FitX in Essen in Germany. And now he wants to help start 1,000 startups. That's the goal, he said, with an incubator named Crealize. The employees at German fintech Taxfish cash out 3.8 million euros after a share buyback. And then there's Apeiron, the investment group, which raises 125 million euro venture capital fund to invest in German tech companies. Their investors include Peter Thiel. And last but in this case, probably also least, there was a bug in the IT of banking startup N26. Reportedly, up to 300 employees could look into personal account information of clients and other employees since they lacked the proper encryption in October 2019 for about 1 week.
That's it. We told you it will be just a little bit longer. Of course, we cut down a lot of the news. And if you think we missed something, or if you want to make us aware of something interesting, let us know. There's always our email in the signature as well as in the show notes. That's it for me. I would say, Chris, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you here again. Stay safe in New York. And this time you didn't use your soundboard, right?
Well, I turned the microphone off. There were 2 sirens. Yeah, you didn't realize it.
Yeah.
Be safe too. The New York numbers are now better than many German cities. So tables have turned.
Fingers crossed. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.